Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Becky Brown.
Hello, everybody. We are so glad that you joined us today. And by us, I mean Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris and Chris Williams.
Hello.
We have some calls lined up, and we are so grateful to be able to talk with people. And, you know, one of the things that we hear over and over again is I try to do the best that I can, but I don't make good choices. And it reminds me of Romans 7 when Paul is talking about the thing that I want to do, I don't do, the good that I want to do, I can't do. It is the human condition.
Yeah.
But what is it that keeps us in that place of just overwhelmed with imperfection besides humanity? I mean, I know that's the human condition, but how can we get out from underneath all of this stuff?
Well, let me go here, okay? I think we have misunderstood and misguided view of freedom. We view freedom as the ability to do what we want, when we want, and how we want. But as an addict, I can tell you that only leads to slavery, because I can then only do what I want, when I want, and how I want, and I can't do anything else. True freedom is to not have to do it, not have to have it, not have to buy it, not have to drink it, not have to use it. That's true freedom, is to not have to. Paul speaks to this because we're miserably people. Like, I'm a miserable person, right? And that actually enslaves me to that misguided view of freedom, is that he says, I've learned the secret of contentment. And then he says this, whether I have much or whether I have little, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Now, again, we misguide this all the time. The championship team says we can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I'm like, that's the wrong application. It's the losing team that should be able to say, listen, we didn't get it. But this is not going to affect my deeper sense of contentment. I can do all things, meaning I cannot have to do something and be okay. I cannot have something and be okay. And I think that's the really, really hard, deeper work, is to learn how to be okay and not.
And I think the movie Elemental just popped into my head.
Oh, I just saw it. I saw it
3 times in a row last weekend because I had a house full of kids. But this one part where he responds to her anger, and he says, well, I think anger is just because we're not being honest with ourselves. Right? You are trying so hard to keep down you that you explode. And now you've made the bad choice, rather than being honest and saying, man, this is so hard for me. I don't want to do this. I don't like this. But this is the right thing to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's so hard. A lot of times when God calls us to do things, I'm usually like, are you sure you want me? Because I don't know how I'm going to get that accomplished.
You're preaching, Jacqui. Yes.
Right? But I just say, nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. And I trust that if he's called me to it, he's equipped me for it, and he will be with me through it. So I just walk through whatever that door is. And so I would just encourage people, if they're struggling with their own imperfect choices, lean into that and be honest about it, so that then you have it out in front of you and you can do something about changing even that.
Yeah.
And you're going to need help. You're going to need people around you. You're going to need God's word. You're going to need a coach, a counselor, a group. There has to be a process, because guess what? If you could have figured it out, you would have done it on your own already. And that's the hardest part, isn't it? Is accepting the fact that we need help and reaching out for help. We're here to help you. We want to get you on that road to correct freedom, not illusion freedom, right? Isn't that what you were saying, Chris? That,
Yep.
You know, not getting enslaved to something else. Stay tuned. We're going to take your calls, and we'll be right back after this break.
My girlfriends and I have been searching for so long to try to find an event to attend.
Lumina is a new women's conference designed to inspire your faith, so you can lead and live confidently from God's Word.
It was nice to come here and just realign myself with who God says He is in my life.
The Lumina Conference is a 2-day experience. 1 full day of worship and teaching in Museum of the Bible's World Stage Theater, and a half-day guided tour through Museum of the Bible.
You are literally immersed in the Word of God. You can walk through the Old Testament. You can walk through the New Testament.
Lumina is for women of all generations, cultures, and denominations. It's a great place to gather with women from your church and community.
If you want some fellowship and you want to be strengthened, this is the place you want to be.
This year's Lumina Conference is October 27th and 28th in Washington, D.C.
It was absolutely life-changing.
For more information, go to luminawomen.org.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are going to go to your calls, and we're going to start with Sarah, who's calling us from Dallas and listens on the internet. Hi, Sarah. How can we help you today?
Hi. Thank you so much for taking my call. So yesterday, I have a 16-year-old daughter, and her dad called me. We're divorced. He called me and told me that he had read her journal, and in the journal, she describes drinking and activity with boys, and she was pretty vulnerable in the journal, but she describes herself as an alcoholic, and he's concerned, so he gave me the journal. I read it, and then we had a discussion about what happened over the weekend. She was with him. Well, she was supposed to be with him. She said she went to a party, spent the night with a friend. So I called the mom. That is not what happened. We don't know where she was Saturday night. She's out of town right now on a school trip. She left Sunday. She'll be back tonight. So I haven't addressed it. I don't know what I should do, how I should approach it. She has been caught lying, and only this summer, so probably in the last 3 or 4 months. I caught her in a couple of lies, took her car from her. She was contrite, remorseful, but now I don't know. I don't know what to do. Please give me advice.
And it's so scary to discover things that you just had no idea was happening, and it's hard. Jacqui, let's start with you. How can we encourage Sarah? What are the steps?
Well, I think she needs help professionally, and so finding a strong Christian counselor, substance abuse clinic that she can maybe go to. You have to have a conversation with her about it, and as you said, she was very vulnerable in her journal, and I'm. Two things can be true at the same time. So I'm right now struggling with two ideas on the one hand. And I'm a mom of daughters. And so I'm thinking on the one hand, I needed to check and will check everything. I'm checking phones. I'm checking MySpace. My kids are adults now, right? I'm following behind you. If there's a journal, I'm reading it because I need to know what's going on so I can keep my family safe. On the other hand, I don't keep a journal for fear that someone is going to read it.
Yeah.
And that now my confidence has been breached, right? My secret thoughts, someone else is now using them and plotting what to do with them. So I don't know if you're holding both of those things, but I'm holding both of those things. So I needed to say that out loud. And I don't know the right answer for your daughter, for going to her, whether or not she needs to hear that. We found your journal and we read it, and these things are concerning because she was so vulnerable. There is a part of me that believes that she needed you guys to find that journal, and so that you could get her the help that she needs.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, because similarly, and I'm kind of hesitant on all of this because of the tensions that lie in here and the things that are at stake. For me, I'd have to triage, meaning I would have to prioritize what is most important here. Is your daughter's confidence most important here? Or is her health most important here? So I would go with the health, and then come out and tell her, hey, listen, we had some concerns this past weekend. We did some checking. You weren't where you said you were. This scared us based on what you already talked about, and we did look in your journal, and we found these things. and letting her know, I am terrified. I don't want to break confidence in where you go further into hiding. I don't want you to go dark, but we want to take these things and put them into the light to get you the help that you need.
Yeah. Well, and my 2 cents, Sarah, would be if you can do this with your former husband. I don't know if you all are remarried, but this has to be a group effort because she's got some serious stuff happening. The fact that he shared this with you is very, it indicates that you have some connection, that there's not a lot of animosity between the two of you. But I think that when we send the message to our teenage kids that we are all on the same page and we are for you.
Yes.
This isn't me against your dad and all that kind of triangulation that a lot of times when people are struggling with addiction, they, you're just making me bad. You don't know the whole story. But I think that would be the best way forward too, as far as talking with her. And I think you can support keeping her car from her and all of those kind of things, because if you're going to drink, you can't drive and we can't put other people at risk. And this is just a reality. And she's going to have all kinds of feelings. We can also connect you, Sarah, with some options for treatment centers if you want to go that route. And, I think we have a book called Understanding and Loving a Person with a Chemical Addiction, I think is what it's called. And we'll send you a copy of that because it's got some really great basic steps to have those conversations with folks that you love. Chris, you got one more thing in your brain? Is that what you're...
I just think that even that conversation that can be very difficult is consulting with an adolescent interventionist or an adolescent addiction expert to kind of get some guidance on how to have that conversation. Because in that conversation, you also want to have a plan of action to follow up with.
So
and
it's
we
not
can
just
connect her. Oh, go ahead.
So I think that this is important so that it's not just mom and dad are mad at me and they don't really know.
Right.
This is, we've gotten professional advice and and they will tell you the things to say and how to say it to be able to bring her in for the help she needs.
Yeah, and we do have interventionists that we work with that we can also offer you that connection as well, Sarah. Thank you so much for calling. Peter, we're going to talk to you right now. You're calling us from Los Angeles, and we're so glad that you called. You listen on KKLA. How can we help you today?
Oh, yes. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, thanks for taking my call. Well, unfortunately, it's a heartbreaking thing. Just my dad hasn't talked to my sister, even his own brothers and sister for a while, but I'm trying to find a way to help reconcile them, especially because my sister had their child and he's never met second or third daughter, and that's kind of causing just a real division. And so I tried addressing it to my dad in a careful way because I don't want him to kind of cast me away. And I think it just comes down to because my parents got divorced about 15 years ago, but we've moved on. But I think it's more of maybe my sister supposedly hasn't accepted his new girlfriend, or I'm not sure if it's technically wife. I'm not sure if they're married, but yeah, it's just a tough thing on her. And I know my dad, he was a great dad growing up, but I think the divorce and other things kind of left him with a hardened heart. And so I'm trying to make sure this doesn't blow up when I try to address him with respect as a father, right, son to dad. So it's hard just because, I see the pain that it causes on my sister.
Yeah. So whose choice was it, Peter, to cut off communication?
I believe it's on my dad. Yeah, he just kind of basically cold shoulder and just stopped after.
Wow.
So Peter, do you have a relationship with your dad?
Yeah, we keep in touch, but it's just...
Do you reach out to him?
Anymore.
Is it?
Yeah, just text.
You keep in touch because you're pursuing him? Does he ever pursue you?
Very rarely. Maybe it's like my birthday or something. But definitely I'm the one to initiate. He, I think, wants to enjoy living his own life how he wants. I guess you guys mentioned freedom. I think he's kind of in that sense, like I want to do what I want, when I want. He's still a good man, but I know his soul is just hardened, and he needs love, and pray a lot for him. So I don't want to judge him. I know he's been through a lot, and so.
Well, Peter, man, my heart breaks for you. Because you are a really good guy. And you're seeing the situation so well. And you went through the divorce. Your sister went through the divorce. And then you also felt the rejection of your dad. Those abandonment issues are very, very real. And I want to kind of take the pressure off, because your dad sort of gives you morsels, which is a pretend version of connection. And so you've lost your dad. But I do think that there's an important step here, and that is inviting him into that loss. Inviting him into your heart. Dad, I'm heartbroken over the loss of our relationship.
Yeah.
And make it about you and him first, before you make it about him and your sister, even though that's real. You know, and see if his heart can reawaken. Because a lot of times I think what happens with fathers is that when they start to realize that they've hurt their children, it is too big of a pain for them to bear, and then they bury it. And they take this passive approach where they just kind of avoid. And what they can't see is the travesty of abandonment. And they're blind to it tragically.
Often thinking that the kid's better off without them in their life.
Yeah.
And so they are taking that path. I'm trying not so hard not to judge that path. I want to,
but we have to recognize that is a painful path.
Yeah.
Because
and part of that pain is shame. Because then you feel bad because you disconnected, and then, or whatever is going on in his heart and his mind. And Peter, you have been so lovingly accepting of his path. Like you are just like, he's got to do, I understand he's got, all these troubles, but you're also now feeling the detachment that's happening even at a greater level. And I don't know, the conversations that you've had with your sister about this, is that part of the process, Peter? Have you talked with her and she's needing help with this?
Yeah, definitely. I want to see where she's at. And it's hard on her. She's reached out to him kind of like on a monthly basis, like trying to reach out to him, but just no response at all.
Oof.
And so she's trying to keep it alive, and then her husband, he told me the other day, like, you know what, your dad's dead to me. And I'm like, oh man, that's kind of adding fuel to the fire, like that dynamic of like, even if my dad would try to come back in the picture, like he would kind of push him away. And I wasn't sure if doing like some kind of a family intervention, like me and my brother and sister, like we go to his house and lovingly, hey dad, we miss you. You're a good dad and we want to be with you. We miss you. So I'm not sure if that's a good approach to kind of help wake him up, that we're not judging him. We, want to love on him and just, move on from the past.
Chris?
Oh, my heart is just breaking.
I know.
Because I'm just
Mine
like,
too.
Peter's dad, if there is by some act of God you're listening to this, come on, man, you're missing out on some wonderful kids' lives and grandkids' lives. But, that's where my heart goes.
Deserve to be in their lives.
For sure.
I think sometimes we go into hiding because we screwed things up, or we think we have, and we have so much shame, and we think our being present is going to cause more pain. Yeah. But it's clear that your children love you and want to be with you.
And Peter, I would just, again, reiterate, I think that you need to take the risk. I think you can definitely bring up your sister and say that, she's just really, really hurting and heartbroken over the loss of relationship, and just want that opportunity to reconcile in some way.
Yeah.
And can he do the hard work to do it?
Maybe ask if we can, like, if you guys can get together, if you and your brother and your sister can come over and bring him lunch and just hang out. And he doesn't have to go anywhere or do anything. You just want to spend time with him.
I love that idea too, Jacqui, because here's the thing. If we go in with the agenda of we've got to fix this, he's probably not going to respond.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
it's going to be too much. But let's get reacquainted. There's been time and space that has been disconnecting us. And I know there are people, I just heard about a family where there was a disconnection for years, and they discovered that there was mental illness that was happening to their family member that had disconnected, and they had no idea. And so we just got to get reacquainted with each other in a way that everyone feels heard and seen, but it may take more than one time. It's hard, Peter, but I love your heart. I think it's great. Do you guys have, I'm thinking Healing is a Choice would be a good kind of roadmap for you as well. So we'll send you a copy of Healing is a Choice. And Peter, we'll be praying for your family. And we'd love to hear back from you. If you need help, we've got coaches and counselors we can connect you with. Family is tough. It's tough to navigate the changes in our lives and relationships, but it's possible. So we got to keep trying. We'll be right back.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, he just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 4th through the 6th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We always want to help you move forward, and we have workshops that can do that for you. We have Restore for women in November, and that's for women who have experienced betrayal. We also have Emotional Freedom, where Jacqui and Chris will both present. That one's going to be in December online. And, if you are feeling stuck somewhere in your life, that would be a great way for you to begin to get the healing that you need. We'll have breakout groups just like we do in our in-person workshops. And it's real convenient because you don't have to fly or drive anywhere. So we hope that you will join us. If you have questions about workshops, you can always call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
So Becky, people get confused of do I need life recovery or not? Especially if I'm not addicted. So let me give you a litmus test. If you have lost deeper connection, that there is a God full of goodness, you probably need life recovery. Now, let me take that a step further. If you've lost hope or belief in that God's goodness is in you and for you, you definitely need life recovery.
That sounds like everybody.
Right? So let's get in it. Let's sign up today.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to continue on with our calls. We're going to talk with Mark, who's calling us from Little Rock, Arkansas, listens online, and we're glad you called. Mark, how can we help you today?
Yes. So my question is, how can I win my kids back? I've got 3 grown kids in northwest Arkansas, a few hours from me, And then I have 3 teenagers over in East Tennessee. The 3 grown kids, they feel like that I have abandoned them most of their lives. And my 3 teenagers, I do talk to them, but they are not interested in me having joint custody, and they don't want to spend any time with me. So I just need advice. My 3 grown kids have blocked me. They refuse to talk to me, haven't spoken to me in years. I do talk to my teenagers, but anyway, that's the short version. And so
okay.
How do I win my kids back?
It's a great question, Mark. You know, what's interesting is because if you just heard the previous call, we were talking to the kids who were wanting to win their dad back. And so I think we can help you. I want to, we'll start with you, Jacqui. I think you were getting ready to say something.
Yeah, there's a lot of this going on right now. And so I'm curious, do you have any idea of why? I heard you say about the abandonment, but why your kids blocked you? What were your conversations with them like before they blocked you?
You know, they were just casual. You know, we haven't talked much over the years, but occasionally, you know, we would talk. And the other factor is that my oldest daughter, about 3 years ago, decided that she was non-binary, and we never had a conversation about it, but growing up, she always knew that I would be against that sort of thing. So she just decided about 3 years ago to make a proclamation that she was non-binary, a they-them person, and anyone who did not agree with her, she was just going to shut them out of her lives and block them. And I was immediately blocked and have been texting, calling. She will not return any messages. She has just totally blocked me out of her life about 3 years ago.
So did you get a chance to talk to her about it when she came out as non-binary? And
not at all.
Not at all. So she just knew.
It was like an instant thing. So boom, here it is, and you're gone.
So she knew from growing up with you that she couldn't talk to you about this, and so once she came out, she just cut you off completely. If you were to get to talk to her, how would you address that? What's your position? Was she correct in that there's no way you're going to be able to accept this?
Well, the first thing that I've been trying to tell her is that, you know, we're family, and we're never going to agree on everything 100%, but I would like us to still spend time together and communicate and be a family. That would be my first thing I would say to her. I know how intense it is. I would not even bring it up if she wanted to, you know, have a relationship with me. If she brings it up, you know, I would lovingly let her know that I love her no matter what. But, you know, if she is demanding that I support her, I don't feel like God wants me to do that. I would not preach at her. I would just love her. And if it would be her decision if she wanted to have a relationship with me, if she says, well, I can't have a relationship with you unless you tell me you agree with me and support me, which has been, from the research I've done, which has been a lot of reasons why people have estranged relationships with their kids, is because the kids will say, well, you have to agree with me or I want nothing to do with you.
Mark, hold on. We've got to go to a break, and we'll get to some more details about the rest of the kids. It sounds like you are doing your best, but there's still some sort of obstacle, whether it's like what you're talking about with your older daughter, but even your generosity towards her is there. But we just got to figure out what's the best way forward. It's so tough with families being separated. We want unity. We want it if we can get it. We'll be right back after.
most of my life I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. You know, we have been talking to a few people today about disruption in their family. Right now, we are talking with Mark, who is the father of 4, I think. Right, Mark? Is that correct?
8.
8. You got 8
well,
kids.
So I have 6.
I'm sorry, there's 6 altogether.
6. Okay, thanks. Well, it may feel like there's 8 or 4. It depends on the day, right, Mark? But I hear your heart. You want to be connected, but your kids are not reciprocating. I have one question before we get to you, Chris. Mark, is this like you divorced your first wife and the older kids are from the first marriage? And then, I mean, like, tell us that dynamic of, the different families.
Okay, yeah. I've been divorced twice. So the 3 oldest are from the first marriage, and then the 3 teenagers are from my second marriage.
Okay, but you're not with either of the moms, right?
That's correct.
And are they close with mom, or are they pretty independent on that?
Yeah, they're all close with mom. They're basically there are similar dynamics that is a factor in this. But yeah, they're close with mom. The way that they're both of the moms, the way that they parent and the way I parent is totally different, and that's a big factor in all of this also.
Okay, and then you said there was one other factor that, and I'm just wondering, what would your kids say is the big reason why they don't talk with you?
Are we talking about the grown kids now or the teenagers?
If there is a common theme, that would be helpful.
Oh, okay. No, there's actually, it's not a common theme. It's just a common experience with the moms and the relationships that they have with their moms, but their relationships with me is different.
Okay.
It's a different factor. Okay. I told you already what the situation was with my grown kids. It's different with the teenagers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Chris?
Oh, Mark, you ready for this, man? So,
sure.
I don't want you to win them back. I want you to win you back.
Mm.
And here's why. Somewhere along the line, the dad that you wanted to be, you lost. And usually what happens and how that shows up is gripping down on control, right? That's the parenting difference. Your issue is not a parenting problem. Your issue is a connection problem. And that there is a theme we've got to pay attention to that's really important. And that you want relationship with your kids. Doing the research to be like, hey, I'm going to love, I'm going to accept, I'm going to do all these things. But somehow along the journey with your kids that was left behind or lost. And I believe that could be for very good reasons. Divorces are messy. Figuring out is messy. Hurt feelings, hurt circumstances, maybe trying to eke out a living. Whatever the case may be, there's tons of variables. But there is a heart connection that was lost with your children throughout the process. If it was just one of them that said, hey, here's the deal, we can look at that. But the fact that all of them, or at least your adult children, are saying the same thing, it's just like, okay, now I need a mirror to see that actually, how have I neglected or abandoned them?
Or abused them verbally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. There may have been in that parenting difference something that to them felt abusive. And so, because when you cut someone off, you're cutting off pain. So to engage with dad is painful. I'm just not going to do it. Yeah. And it sounds like it's not painful with mom. So what are the moms doing that's managing relationship that you don't see in yourself when you look in the mirror?
Can I ask Mark another question? Mark, were you unfaithful to your wives?
No, ma'am, not at all. It was actually the opposite.
Okay, yeah. And so you're carrying, like, that can be really painful for you. All of this is super painful. And I think, Mark, it's the hard work of acknowledging where your children, whether at times it may be misguided or not, misappropriated to you or not, are carrying the hurt. And you're maybe at times the easy scapegoat. But I think acknowledging that. And I think the other aspect of it is that attempting to start at sort of a ground level, like starting at zero. And starting at zero in relationships means that I'm just going to show interest in the person. I'm going to show interest in them and in their daily lives and in what they're doing and what they're not doing. I'm not to the point of involved in their lives in a connection. And there is a subtle thing that's going on here that I kind of want you to leave behind. And you're kind of, you say, hey, that's not what it is to be a family. And I'm like, my friend, you guys haven't been a family for a long time. Right? That's family. Right. We impose these rules, right? And I know I do. I mean, we all do. It's like, hey, this is what families do. I was like, yeah, but that's a label. That's not actually the behavior. That's not the interaction. And so what is very, very apparent to me today, Mark, is that you love your children and you love them deeply. And that it's super painful to be cut off to them, which all makes perfect sense. But what I would do is I would throw out morsels of interest, especially to our adult children. For your teenage kids, I would continue to check in with them, see how their day is going, see what they need, all of those sort of things. Try to keep the lines of positive connection going as much and as strongly as possible. And for your older children, it could be a text of, hey, I know we're not talking, but I'm thinking of you today. Maybe it's I'm praying for you. Maybe they find that offensive, but I'm thinking of you today. I hope you're doing well. And just starting that initiation there in that pursuit.
How do you feel about that, Mark? Do you think that's something you can do?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It is something that I need to do more of. And so I appreciate that. That's very good advice. With the, with the adults, it's extremely painful because when I do reach out to them, I get no response, and it's been that way for years.
Right.
But it's kind of like what you're saying is don't give up.
Right.
Well, and if I can jump in and say one more thing, is that
of course.
Mark, if you've been cheated on, if you've been betrayed, that hurt and that pain is also real. I can't encourage you enough to get into, and you may already have, so I may be repeating something, but get into your own counseling and therapeutic work to keep working through the incredible losses that you've been experiencing.
That is exactly what I was going to say, Chris, because, like you mentioned to Mark earlier, that, you've got to do your own work so that even if you're rejected, you know that it's not you, it's their choice. And to get curious about where they are in their own journey is going to take a sturdiness on your own part as opposed to woundedness. And it's your work to do, but it's possible. I'm going to send you a copy of what are you thinking, Chris? Are you thinking of one?
I'm actually thinking of How We Love.
Okay. I was thinking something along that same line. So, Mark, we're going to send you How We Love. And we're so grateful that you called. We'll be praying for your family and look forward to hearing back from you. Somebody we are so grateful for is Larry. And I know, Larry, you're in the studio, and I know you're going to bring us some good news for our listeners. What do you have for us today?
Well, just thinking about workshops coming up, and the intimacy and marriage workshops coming up soon. And I want to give a testimony and a shout out to a couple of other one-liners from some testimonies, because this is an amazing workshop. This is where we see some of the biggest miracles right before our eyes. This woman wrote that she said, "My life before the workshop was good, but was hindered by my avoidance of feelings. I knew I wasn't an emotional person, but thought it was just the way that I was. This weekend's been a catalyst for change. It opened my eyes that God placed those emotions in me to create stronger connections and enjoyment. I'm excited to take our marriage to the next level. Although emotions are still uncomfortable, I know that with the help of my husband and God, I can learn to really connect with him." And, I was reading several testimonies, Becky, a couple are just real quick. One person said it was a watershed moment in the health of our marriage. Another one said, "Be prepared to remember why you fell in love with your spouse."
Wow.
And I really love that.
Me too.
So, folks, it's not hard to get there. We're going to have this workshop. It's a weekend. It's more than you could imagine. You will be surprised. I always say God works through surprises and interruptions. And you're going to be surprised at this workshop. I can guarantee it. You're going to go there thinking one thing's going to happen. This is what I'm expecting. But we know the difference between expectations and reality. And so you're not going to live in misery. You're going to live in a lot of hope and a lot of good things if you'd sign up for this workshop. And Becky, if you'll let me, after the break, just want to encourage some folks to make some gifts to New Life.
Well, I will. We'll be back after this break.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction.
He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 3rd through the 5th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family, or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step towards genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. Larry, you're still with us. How would you like to help us help others?
Help us help you, Larry.
You're still with us. It made it sound like I was maybe on a monitor in the hospital. Just hang in there. You're still with us.
That's it.
Sorry. Donations to New Life. It's a funny thing in life that a ministry like New Life and so many other nonprofits, your churches, they all function on donations. And the funny thing is that we feel a need to have to ask for that. And it's not that we want to ask because we're desperate, but we want to ask because when you give, it makes a difference. It makes a difference in the people who gain the benefit from this program, from the workshops, from the counseling, all those things. And it makes a difference in you too. And if you would just take a challenge, make a gift if you've never given before, and see if it doesn't make you feel a little different, a little better, a little part of something bigger than yourself. So I just want to appeal to you folks to please consider making a gift. There's a lot of ways you can do it. I won't get into those. But one of the ways that I always neglect, and you brought it up when I was on last time with you, Becky, you can text a gift. And you just text the numbers 28950, 28950, and then enter the amount you want to gift. And I encourage a lot of zeros after that amount, but that's just me. But this matching gift should be coming to a close soon. This is a recorded program, so I don't know where we are today, but consider your gift will be matched. And it'll be an amazing thing to know that if you give $100, $200 was going to enter the coffer. So thank you for considering that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And, we've been around for 35 years and we want to continue.
Amen.
And we do that through the gifts of people who believe in life change. So thank you for giving and thank you for participating. You can go to newlife.com and click donate or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have been around 35 years. We've been taking calls for that long as well. And every once in a while, we like to do what I call classic call. And we're going to go to one of those right now with Teresa, I think. Terry, go ahead.
Let me jump over here to Teresa from Washington, Pennsylvania.
Hello.
Hi. WORD's the station. How are you? How can we help you?
I'm blessed and highly favored. Thank you.
Good. What's going on?
My question for you is, how do you teach your daughters that it's not necessary to have a man hanging on their shoulders to be complete? That when God sends them a man, that's what they need to wait for.
Now, what is this when God sends them a man? What does that mean to you?
If God intends for my daughters to have husbands someday, then He'll work that out. They don't need to be searching for them. God will work it out and bring it to them.
Now, I just got a question. Are they going to go to college?
They're both. One just finished college a year ago, and the other is in college now.
Did they decide where they were going, or did God just say, go here?
Well, ironically, my first daughter, I wasn't saved then. And so she picked where she wanted, and we told God work it out, and He did. My second daughter, we actually prayed, and God told us where to send her to college. And it was unanimous with all of us in the family.
Okay.
All four of us.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Henry, you were pointing at me as if you wanted to say something.
Well, I was going to ask something, Teresa. Is this advice that you want to give them, is that coming out of a problem? Do you see them like desperately seeking and feeling like they have no life if they don't have a boyfriend or she doesn't?
Yes.
Is it one daughter or two?
My youngest daughter. My oldest daughter has had a boyfriend since she's like in first grade or kindergarten. And she a couple years ago, this guy literally secluded her from everybody, and she tried to commit suicide when it was all done.
Oh, gosh.
Praise God, it didn't work, and she's saved now. But she still dates these guys. Like, she's dating a guy now. He's a nice guy, but it was unequally yoked because he just recently got saved, and they were dating like maybe 5 or 6 months before he got saved. And my youngest daughter, everybody around her has boyfriends, and she's had chances for dating, but it's never. She's scared. She'll never date anybody, but yet she feels like she's not complete. There's something wrong with her because she doesn't have somebody.
Yeah. Well,
we try to teach her that it doesn't matter.
Well, let me give a little different perspective. What I'm concerned with here is the extremes. One extreme is when somebody is dependent and they look to having a date or a mate to fill up some hole inside that a date or a mate will never fill up. And, you know, when a half a person marries a half a person, then it multiplies, and a half times a half is a fourth, and they get reduced, not enhanced. You know, when dependent people marry each other, things go downhill. And so that's one extreme, and I think it's what you're concerned with, and it's a very, very good concern. And so the what you have to watch out for is teaching people that the answer is, you know, you don't need to be dating anybody. You should be okay with, you know, just you and God, and sort of the other extreme, and pull out of the race and all of that, and, you know, God will fix this. What I think is much better and does get at your concern is that, number one, you try to talk to them and find out what's the hole inside that they feel the pressure to fill up by dating. Is it they don't feel good about themselves? Is it that they don't have a good sense of community and good friends that they're connected to, so there is no loneliness, and Friday night rolls around and there's nothing to do, and all of that? Sometimes when people are isolated, sometimes when they're when they're dependent and they can't stand up for themselves and they have self-image issues, all of that, then if we don't deal with that, when they do start dating, they're going to have problems. And so I would just want to be focusing on their issues. Now, secondly, when it comes to dating, I do think, and I wrote a book on this, it's called How to Get a Date Worth Keeping. We'll send it to you, and you can read it and see what you think. But one of the things that I think would help them is if they put dating in a different worldview. Dating is not about marriage. I think that people should date without getting serious. You know, they should go out with a lot of different kinds of people and figure out who they are and what they want. And don't just, you know, glob onto one person or have this one type that they're looking for. They should have a full, rounded social life. And then eventually somebody stands out in the crowd. But nobody can stand out in the crowd if there's no crowd. Then they just grab the first one that comes along because they're desperate. Right. So just a few thoughts there.
Okay, what do you think of those few thoughts?
Well, that sounds really good. With my youngest daughter, she's a beautiful girl. They're both beautiful girls. How do you approach to say to her, Robbie, what is it that's hurting you inside? What?
That's a pretty good way.
I know she's been hurt a lot.
That's a great way. And plus, you get her some help and just become somebody she can talk to.
Yeah.
Say, so how's it going? How are you feeling about yourself and about the things you're pursuing? What are your interests? How confident do you feel? Do you ever feel lonely?
Classic words that will live on. I mean, if that doesn't speak to you, if you're in that same situation, I would be shocked. We're so grateful to have been around for this long and to be able to help people find their new life. And if you need help, you know where to find us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You may need to tell somebody about us. You may need to offer that hope and help for someone who is looking for a new way in their life. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Jacqui, for all you do and the wisdom that you bring. And I'm just, I'm always amazed that people think, I don't need to do anything. My life is just fine right where it is. Well, you probably need to ask somebody who you're related to or that you share the house with, because they may disagree with you. Any words of wisdom before we close this hour out?
Well, just thinking about what you just said, Becky, we can't see ourselves the way others can see us. And so if you're not standing in front of the mirror, you might want to ask someone, what do you see?
That. I love that. We can be a mirror. Yes. We can help you with that. Give us a call. Thank you, Jacqui. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, listeners. Stay in touch. Visit us at newlife.com or call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll see you next time.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.